The SAP Implementation Project will introduce a new project systems module to improve the tracking of project financials and enhance reporting at DFO CCG. The Project Systems module incorporates major capital projects, minor capital projects, grants and contributions, and others. This video will focus on major capital projects. A project starts with a priority to deliver on our mandate. Through planning, the priority gets refined and, upon approval, the project is executed and completed. At DFO CCG, project managers will benefit from significant SAP integrated functionality. It will assist them in all project phases, such as gating, and will provide integrated financial reporting to track project costs. Let's look at an example of how this is done in the system. Oliver is a major projects employee within a small Craft Harbor region. He recognizes the need to build a wharf, which qualifies as a new major capital project. In order to do that, Oliver identifies the priority and creates an appropriation request in the Investment Management module. Since funding of major capital projects is limited to a funding envelope, the process to acquire funding starts with a review. Each year, the Regional Director Generals, along with their senior management teams, prepare a list of projects that are presented and voted on at the National Peer Review Committee for future funding. This funding review process may vary for different sectors. After the National Peer Review process is completed, Oliver gets great news. The Peer Review Committee has determined that his project is a priority, and he can proceed to the next step of the Small Craft Harbor Major Capital process, which is its inclusion into the 5-year departmental investment plan. He achieves this by completing an investment summary note, in addition to a high-level WBS in Project Builder within the PS module. This gets submitted to Investment Planning and Analysis, who then include it in the investment plan and submit it to the Deputy Minister for approval. Once the Deputy Minister approves the investment plan, the projects within the plan have what's called an approval in principle. Oliver now updates, amongst other things, the project's goals, objectives, and how benefits will be realized in order to create a project approval document, which is required for preliminary project approval, PPA, and effective project approval, EPA. Upon completion, Oliver updates the WBS for the Vote 5 component of the project. He can now go in SAP BPC and input planning numbers by years to obtain formal project funding approval. Oliver now has everything inputted and is seeking approval to execute the project, so he submits the request to the appropriate level of governance. Great news! Oliver's project has been approved at the Approval in Principle gate, and he has been allocated a budget. However, he can't spend any money at this stage of the process. Oliver now has to create a project approval document to pass through the preliminary project approval, PPA stage, in order to receive between 10 to 15% of the entire project's funding allocation to begin the design and engineering work. After some time, Oliver gets the go-ahead to move to the next step, or gate, which is effective project approval. Here, Oliver refines his project scope using the information he gathered from the design and engineering phase in preliminary project approval, and creates a project approval document to pass through the effective project approval stage. The effective project approval will allocate the remaining 85 to 90% of the funds to the project once approval is granted from the appropriate level of governance. Oliver can now begin directing and managing project work, managing project knowledge, stakeholder engagement, and establishing the asset under construction. Since project systems, funds management, and business planning consolidation are all integrated and completed in a single system, Oliver will be able to get instant insight into his project status, budget, contract status, spending to date, and much more. Finally, when the project is complete and the wharf is built, Asset Accounting modifies it from an asset under construction to an asset master record in the Asset Accounting module in the financial system. The asset can now be tracked in the financial system with other departmental assets. In addition, Oliver submits a project completion report to Investment Planning and Analysis for monitoring purposes. DFO and CCG have hundreds of projects every year. We finally have an integrated tool that gives us a clear view of the projects and initiatives in the pipeline, helping us and management to prioritize them in order to meet the priorities of the department. SAP is instrumental in this. It provides an integrated and single source of information, streamlines cost tracking, has powerful reporting capabilities, and expands the department's view on its long-term investments. That brings us to the end of our video. We hope you found it informative, as it sets the foundation for us to empower our business with real-time data and better insights.